Hi all, I welcome you to Microsoft Azure Community Meetup in June. There are some housekeeping rules that I would like to tell. We plan to meet up online at once a month on Saturday, and the online meeting would be organized using Microsoft Teams, and the online meetings would be recorded and later be uploaded to Microsoft Azure Pakistan community channel. And I would request you to please mute yourself during the meeting, and the meeting would be around 2 hours and 30 minutes. There will be 10 to 15 minutes for QA and the end, and you should preferably write your questions in the chat window. These are the URLs for the LinkedIn group, YouTube channel, and the Twitter account on Pakistan Azure community. And there are some code of conduct that we would like you to follow. So you should be friendly and welcoming. Be patient, be thoughtful in how you communicate in person and online. Be respectful and inclusive. Be open and curious, and reach out to the organizers if you need anything. Today we'll be discussing about CI/CD pipelines for SQL Server databases in Azure DevOps. And today we have Vahid, who will be telling us about this topic. And Vahid has been working as a SQL Server admin and a .NET developer. So Vahid, please go ahead with your presentation. Vahid, it looks like you are muted.
Oh, okay. Is it now fine? You should see my screen. Okay, that's great. Let me put it here. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right. You're good now.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night for everybody watching us around the globe. My name is Vahid Farahmandian, and today I'm here to talk about creating CI/CD pipelines for SQL Server databases in Microsoft Azure DevOps. Before starting my discussion, I would like to introduce myself. I was born in Urmia city at 1989, and currently I'm living in Tehran, in Iran. I'm working as a CEO at a Sputa company in Iran, and also authored some software-related books in the .NET Design Patterns area and something like that. Before getting started about the CI/CD pipeline, let's see what database DevOps is important and why database DevOps is important. Based on the Redgate survey, something about 89% of projects and companies have already adopted their projects to DevOps, and only about 11% of data projects does not adopt it to DevOps process yet. It's really impressive if you compare the 2021's percentage to the 2020, and you can see the increase rate about the DevOps adoption in organizations and companies and among the projects. Among this great area, the main driver for automating the delivery of database change based on the Redgate survey, the first driver to automate the delivery of database changes to increase the speed of delivery of database change. It seems as nowadays the delivery speed of change for database are really low, and organizations plan to increase their speeds in increasing the change delivery mechanism in their organization. The second factor to automating the database change delivery is to free up the developers' time for more added value work, so that we can plan to other works, and we can do many other works beside our daily works. And the third option is to minimize the application downtime, which is really crucial, and it's really vital for any organizations to minimize the downtime. Again, based on the Redgate survey, today the greatest challenge in integrating database change into DevOps process, the greatest one is the synchronizing application and database change. As you might know, during these years we have various and numerous process for application delivery and automating the application delivery processes, but the database sections are always been neglected. And nowadays we need to integrate the database change into our DevOps processes. The second great challenge is overcoming different approach to application and database developments. And the third one is preserving and protecting business critical data. Protecting the business critical data nowadays in organizations, again, is really vital, because data is the most important part of an organization. What makes an organization a real organization is its data. If you minus an organization from data, you will find nothing in place. So the data is really important for organization, and protecting the data is important again. About the achieving continuous delivery for database change, the greatest challenge that we have during this road is complexity of databases. Especially the enterprise databases has really great complexity, and we need to consider this complexity in designing our CI/CD processes and in automating our process. And the second greatest challenge is about the lack of resources to automate the delivery process. About the risk of cross-database estates, as you see, a comparison made by, again, Redgate company. In 2020, 61% in all the organization participating in the survey, 61% of them have only one database, have only two or more databases in their organizations. The number that increased to 70% in 2021. It shows that in our organizations and companies, the number of databases are increasing again. So in designing our CI/CD processes and in automating the process, we need to consider many different databases, some of RDBMS kinds and the others about the NoSQL databases, and we should plan the appropriate process for each kind of databases. Why we concentrate on SQL Server databases, and why in this session I'm going to talk about the CI/CD pipeline for SQL Server databases, because about 82% of organizations currently are using Microsoft SQL Server databases in their applications and in their processes. The second option is about the MySQL databases that is being used in about 27% of organizations. As you see, the distance is really notable here. 82% and 27% is really notable here. That's why we're going to talk about the Microsoft SQL Server and creating CI/CD pipelines for Microsoft SQL Server databases. And as the last part of the presentations, the database types being used in different kind of companies and organizations. As you see that in enterprises, 46% of enterprises are using only RDBMS as their data storage. About 52% of organizations are currently using the mixed mode. I mean, they're using the RDBMS databases and NoSQL databases all together, and only 2% of organizations are only using the NoSQL databases. These numbers are about the same in different kind of sectors. So, for example, in medium organizations or in mediums, 55% are using RDBMS and 43% are using mixed mode. And in the smaller businesses, 62% are using RDBMS and 35% are using mixed mode, and only 2% in all sectors are using the NoSQL only data storage. This shows the importance of automating the delivery process of RDBMS databases in organizations. There's many different tools we can use during our journey to automate the database change delivery road and in designing the CI/CD process. One of the very familiar and popular tools that really helps us during this journey is SQL Server data tools, or what we call it SSDT. SSDT is a modern development tool for building SQL Server relational databases, database in Azure SQL, analyst services, or many different SQL products. With SSDT, you can design, deploy any SQL Server content topic same as you would develop an application in Visual Studio. As you know, SSDT nowadays, after the Visual Studio 2007, it's delivered as part of Visual Studio installer, and you can easily install this SSDT by referring to Visual Studio installer. It's free, and you can freely install SSDT and start using it. SSDT is required for creating database projects and for syncing your code to Azure DevOps repository. One of the main benefits of using SSDT is its familiarity that developers and the database developers has. For example, if you know how to use Visual Studio, if you know the I don't know, some tools such as code navigations or IntelliSense, or you know something about C# or Visual Basic platform-specific validation or debugging tools, you might easily start working with SSDT too, because SSDT is being used this kind of facilities in its inside, like the programming language. SSDT provides a visual table designer which make it easier for you to design your table structures, and it also supports the scripting mode, which helps you in writing your custom scripts and import your change to database. And while you're working on your database projects in a team-based environment, you can use version control for all the files, including your database project. And when it's time to publish your project, you can easily publish your change directly from SSDT project to your SQL Server database, or you can create a well-known package called DAC Pack, or Data Tire Application Package, and then deploy your Data Tire Application Package to SQL Server database and sync your Schema change with your development environment and your production environment. SSDT also supports the synchronization, or supports the migrations too, or it supports the pre and post deployment scripts too, which helps you in migrating your data manipulation operations from your development environment to your production environment. You can port your static data from your development environments to your production environment using the pre or post deployment scripts, which is currently supported with SSDT. It also has a platform validation capability that ensures that your scripts works on the target you specify. As I told you, we can update our databases using the DAC Pack, or Data Tire Application Package. We have something other than DAC Pack that we call Backpack, which is very similar to backup files, which ports the data and the database schema between two different environments. Backpack is not something that we always seeking about it, because always we do not need to support all our data from the development environment to the production environment. We might need only to port the schema from development to production environment, and in some cases, in some special cases, we might need to transfer the static data. So Backpack is not our choice in this journey that we're going to design. We're going through the DAC Pack, which helps us in schema synchronization. It has many more advantages of using the DAC Pack in our software delivery process. such as this tool, helps the DBA with identifying and validating behaviors before the behaviors from different source and target databases during upgrade. It also supports the data loss warning. If your script is going to cause data loss, the DAC pack mechanism will stop and warn the DBA that this process are going to lose some data. Are you sure to continue, or no, you need to terminate the process and review your scripts? It's really great benefits that provided by DAC pack to the DBAs. It also supports versioning to help the developers and DBAs to maintain and manage database lineage through its life cycle. It seems really great to use DAC pack and to use data application during our software delivery process, and in order to automating the SQL Server change management in our software delivery process. So let's have a deep dive into the codes and into the Visual Studio and see how the story is going to be done. I have a virtual machine here. Let's open it. I've created a database project here and named it my database. I open my database.solution file. It's a SQL Server project. Again, I mentioned that if you did not install the SQL Server data tools, you will be unable to create SQL Server database projects. So if you want to create a database project, you should install SSDT. And if you are using Visual Studio 2007 or a newer version of the Visual Studio, you need to refer to Visual Studio Installer in order to install the SSDT. So I have a SQL Server database project here. If I right-click on my projects, it gives me numerous options. One of the important options is the import options. For the first time that you open a project, you can import your database. It's now grayed out because I've imported already in my project. At the first step, you need to import your database to the projects, and after importing the project, you will have something like this, something like that I have here. For example, I've imported my database to Visual Studio. I have a database here in SQL Server called my database, and my database consists of two different tables, TBL account and TBL user. And here you see that after importing the database to Visual Studio SQL Server database projects, I have two tables here, TBL account and TBL user. If I double click on my tables, it gives me the table designer here that helps me in designing my table, and also provides me the script related to the TBL account that's already there. For example, let's have some change. I'm going to add some new columns to TBL account. For example, account type of type short int. Sorry, it's about tiny integer. Oh my God. Okay. And as soon as click this white area, the account type being added to table designer, and I'm going to add the other column using the table designer. For example, the activation date. It's of type date time. Okay, but as you see, as I create the column here in table designer, my scripts are being created here. And then I save my change. Now I have TBL account with three different columns here, ID, account type, and account date in my SQL Server database project in Visual Studio. But these two columns does not exist in my database. So I need a mechanism to publish my database. There's numerous ways to synchronizing my development environment with my production environment. One of the easy ways to publishing change is about the right-clicking on my project and choosing the publish option, which publish my change to the production environment. Of course, before publishing my change, I might need to do some schema compare and check if there's any change exists prior to publishing change to the production environment. So before I publish my change, I would like to click on schema compare option to see what is being changed in my projects compared to my production database. So I click on schema compare and then choose my source. My source is my SQL Server database projects, and my target is my production database. And I'm going to select my database. It's located here, okay. Okay, after choosing my target database, I click on compare. So a comparison is being made between the source and target databases. It might take a while based on the based on your database and based on number of your objects in your database. Of course, based on the hardware that you have. Okay, the comparisons being made, and comparisons say me that you have a change in TBL account. It seems that you have changed something in source that does not exist in target, and this change is being happening in the TBL account. And if I select the TBL account, it will show the detailed comparison here. It shows that you have added account type and activation date in source, which does not exist in target. And after validating this change, me as a DBA decided to publish my change to production. In order to publish my change, I can easily click on update button here, or I can easily click on publish button here. Both of these two options will do the same thing for me, and both of these two options will update my target database. So let's click on one of them. I clicked on publish options. It tells me that where is your target database connection again. I chose my target database and then click on publish. This starts to publishing my change to my database. Okay, and the changes are published successfully. Let's refer to the SQL Server and refresh my database. And as you see, the two columns that I created in my SQL Server database projects are successfully being ported to my production database. And as you see, it's really easy to work with SSDT, and it's really easy to validating, to comparing the change, and then deciding and publishing and syncing change from one environment to the other environment using SSDT tools. Okay, it's fine, but this is not what we are looking for. We are looking for something that we can automate it. And of course, we need some automated mechanisms to porting our change from the development environment to the production environment. Okay, let's see the other options. Let's close the comparison window, also the TBL account window. I'm going to create a new table. Let's call this table, for example, TBL log. I'm going to create a log table, TBL log. Okay, this TBL log have an ID as integer and content as a varchar. I'm not going to choosing the exact or really correct data types here. I'm going to just show you what's going on here. Okay, I've TBL log here. The second option is to porting the change is to using the DAC pack, as we talked about it in the PowerPoint presentation. In order to create DAC packs or data tire application package, simply we need to build our project. Right click on your project and choose the build option. Okay. After build being succeeded, I'm going to see what's going on and what's going to be created as a build artifact. Okay, great. Let's refer to the bin folder. Okay, inside the bin folder, there's some amazing files being created. One of the files that's being created is my DAC pack file. This DAC pack file, in fact, contains the change scripts that are needed to being applied on my target database. After building my projects, I need to select my DAC pack and send it to my organization's DBA and ask him to apply this DAC pack on my database. Suppose that I send this DAC pack to my organization DBA. He received my DAC pack, and here he needs to apply this DAC pack on my database. He simply needs to open the SQL Server, select my database, right-click on that, from task submenu, he needs to choose the Upgrade Data Applications option here. After choosing the Upgrade Data Application, the Upgrade Data Application window will be open, and it asks me about the DAC pack file. I need to provide the DAC pack file to this wizard. I give it my DAC pack file. Okay. And then starts detecting change between the SQL Server database and my SSDT. And as you know, I have not registered my database as the data application or as a DAC. And so as I did not register my database as a DAC, it will not do any change detection at this step for me. It's fine. I ignore this operation and click on Next. At this window, it's asking me about the rolling back on failure, and it asks me to give him a permission to roll back the operation if a failure occurs. I ignore the against step and click on Next. The upgrade data application, this is steps going to provide me upgrade plan. It just needs to review the upgrade plan, then gives me a summary of the operations that's being needed to be applied on my database. So I need to wait until the upgrade plan is being created and provided to me. Oh, it's weird. Okay. The upgrade plan is being created, and as you see, it tells me that we have two drop operation here and one create operation here. One of the drop operations about to dropping a SQL permission. One of my permissions are being dropped during these transformations. You might choose not to transfer objects other than table or view or store procedures. I chose to transfer all kind of objects from development environment to production environment. That's why you see here the SQL permission dropping warning. The second operation that's being needed, it's again about the permissions. So let's ignore these two operations and concentrate on the third one. The third operation is about to create operations that's being needed to be applied in the target database. This create operation is about to creating a SQL table with the name of TBL log, which resides inside the DBO schema. If I'm agree with this upgrade plan, I can easily click on next option, so the upgrade process will start and finish. Or I can save the action reports for further concentration and considerations. Or I can generate the scripts and review the scripts, and after reviewing the scripts, I can apply the scripts manually on my database, or can make use of SQL CMD to execute my scripts over my database. Anyway, I'm not going to choose any of these. I'm going to just click on next options, which cause the gesture application to upgrade my destination database. Okay, next and finish. It starts to upgrade my database. Of course, this process will not take these too long time on your machines. This wikage and this taking too long time on my machines, it's directly related to my virtual machine that's being configured. It's configured with lower hardware specifications. And finally, the initialization, analyzing, updating, creating, verifying, and deploying the package to database is succeeded. At the final steps, it's registering the metadata for my database, and all steps are being succeeded, and I click on Finish. After finishing the upgrade operations, if I refresh my database, I can see my table log that's being created on my database. So, these processes it seems really odd and amazing. What did I do? I built my SQL Server database project using the Visual Studio Build option. I mean, using the MS Build. MS Build produces me the DAC Pack option. So I know that I can easily automate this part of the operation using the MS Build inside my continuous integration pipeline. It will create the DAC Pack file for me. And the second part is about the applying the DAC Pack on my database. Fortunately, nowadays we have numerous extensions available in Marketplace, in Azure DevOps Marketplace or in Visual Studio Marketplace that helps me in publishing the DAC Pack on the SQL Server databases. So it's really great. I have the other tools to automating my continuous delivery and continuous deployment parts too. So it's real fine. Let's jump into the Azure DevOps and see what's going on in the Azure DevOps. I solved my problems. I answered my questions here. That I have two questions. I had two questions here. One for my build stage and the other for deployment part. The integration parts that is going to be resolved by making use of the MS Build, and the deployment parts is going to be resolved using the Marketplace extensions. Okay, let's see what's going on the Azure DevOps. In Azure DevOps, I have created a project, and also I've created a build pipeline for my projects, and this is my YAML contents of my build pipeline. At the beginning of my pipeline, I declared that this pipeline is going to be started or is going to be run whenever a change is being integrated into master branch. You can change the trigger to whatever you want, to what operations you want. You might change this trigger to pull request raising, to integrating change to the other branch, or you might turn off the automatic continuous integration pipelines running, and you might decide to run your pipelines manually. I decided here to trigger my build pipeline only when the changes are being integrated into my master branch. Then I said that this pipeline, the Azure Pipelines, these pipelines needs to use this pool in order to fulfill its jobs. This pool consists of some agents which are being registered as self-hosted agents on my own machine. You can use the Microsoft hosted agents too if you are using the Azure DevOps services. You can make use of Microsoft hosted agents, which might minimize your costs and minimize your efforts in designing the agents and pools. But I decided to use my self-hosted agent that's being resides in the day build pool. I've also declared some variables here. One of my variables is solution, and its value is ***/*.sln, that I'm going to use it in providing the build destination for my MS build. The second variable is build platform, that again I will use it in my MS build step, and the build configurations, that's again and again being used in my build step. My pipeline steps are included. The first task is Visual Studio build task. I'm going to use the version 1 of the Visual Studio build task. The inputs related to these tasks are solution, which its value is the value of solution variable that's equal to ***/*.sln. It means that I'm going to build every SLN files. I'm going to build every SLN files that are available in my project. I can easily replace this wildcard string with the exact name of my solution or with the name of my project too. And as said here, that I'm going to do my build for any CPU platform, and also for the with the release configuration. Something just happens here. No, that's fine. Okay. The second step after building successfully, as we saw at the previous steps, after we build the project, we easily copy our DAC pack file from the bin folder to the system drive folder in my sample that I show you for. So the second step of my pipeline is the copy file task. That's going to copy every files that exist in the build.sources directory variable. This variable is a predefined variable in Azure DevOps and pointing to the source directory of the work directory of my agent. So it's going to copy every file in this folder to this target folder. The target folder is artifact staging directly. And I'm saying here that before doing the copy operations, please clean the target folder. You might use the wildcards here in order to filter out the files. For example, you might say that only copy the contents of a bin folder or only copy the DAC pack files. It's fine. You can use the wildcards here, it is content sections, to minimize the contents that's being copied between the source folder and the target folder. After copying the files, I need to publish my artifacts. After publishing my artifacts, I can make use of the output of my build pipelines in my release pipelines. So I use the publish artifact task here, and I said it that please publish my artifacts to these locations, build artifact staging directly. I mean that whatever being exists in build.artifact staging directly will be published as my artifact. So the question here is, what's being in the build.artifact staging directory? I have copied the contents of build.source directory contents to the build.artifact staging directory. So my build.source directory content will be available as my artifact here. And I'm going to give it a name, with the name of my database artifact. And it will be copied to the container. I mean, it will be copied to the Azure pipelines. So let's run this pipeline to see what's going on this pipeline. Okay, I simply click on the Run button and open it. I'm waiting for the agents to report me status. Okay, the agent starts to report me the operation, the initialized job, checkout, and starts building my solution. Okay, after building, it's copy my contents from source directory to the target to the artifact staging directly, and then it starts to publishing the artifacts to the pipeline. And it needs to do some closing jobs. And after finishing jobs, I can navigate to the summary tab and see the artifacts that's being made. There's an artifact called my database artifact here that's being made during this build. It's also available from this menu. I open this artifact and see what's available inside this artifact. As you see, the whole files that were in my source directory are being copied to the artifact staging directly and then published as the pipeline artifact. If you use the filter in the content section of the copy file task, you will have a minimum number of files here. Among these files, the only files that are needed for me is the publish.xml files, and inside the bin release folder is the DAC pack file, or this publish XML file and DAC pack file. So anyway, I have created my DAC pack file and the publish XML file during a build pipeline. So the continuous integration part of my question and problems easily got solved. So I need to design a release pipeline. Okay, let's navigate to the release section. In the release section, I've created a release pipeline. Let's see what's going on in the release pipeline. I'm going to release the artifact which is being made during my previous build, and also check that the continuous deployment trigger will be enabled, which means that whenever a build artifact being created, after that start the deployment pipeline automatically. And here are my different kind of stage. I have one stage here called the dev stage, and I'm going to port the change from my own computer to the development server, which the QA team might refer to it and test my application. In the dev server, I'm going to use the publish DAC pack using the DAC publish profile step. This publish profile task. This task is one of the tasks that I have installed it by referring and by going to the Visual Studio Marketplace. This task is not provided internally with Azure DevOps, and you need to refer to the Visual Studio Marketplace, which is located at the Visual Studio marketplace. Marketplace.visualstudio.com. And if you search for deploy database DAC pack using the DAC publish profile, you'll find some results here. And this task, publish DAC pack using something else, is the task which I have installed to my projects. This task is being written by John Tunnicliffe, I think, and it really helps you in deploying your chains. These tags have some options here. One of the options that I need to provide to it is the DAC pack path. I should say to this tags that where does my DAC pack resides. I tell this that my DAC pack file resides in the default working directory, package or community, my database artifact, my database bin release, and DAC pack. You can change this address by opening this window and finding your DAC pack file and then introducing it to this option. The second option is that I need to provide to this task in my publish profile path that I can provide it exactly by the same way that I provide the DAC pack file. And after that, I need to provide the destination's information, the target server that this package needs to be deployed to. I'm going to deploy this package to my local host. This local host got meaning by referring to the agents that's being to execute this release pipeline. It means that the release agent and my SQL Server database both resides in the same database, so I can use localhost here. Otherwise, you should use your IP address, or you should use your DNS, your valid DNS names here. After connecting to localhost, I need to connect to this database, and I'm going to update or upgrade this database, the database with the name my database. During these operations, there's no need for SQL CMD variables. And then in advanced methods, I chose that I need to authenticate against SQL Server using SQL Server or Azure SQL authentication method. And I provide the username and passwords to connect to my database here. Of course, for a better experience in designing and for better security in designing your pipelines, you might need to move these values to variables and then makes them secret. For example, the username, it's DevOps. I'm going to click on this lock button to make it secret so nobody can see what's the value of my username, also the password. Again, click on the lock button to hide it from everybody. And in my pipeline, I can refer to them easily by saying $ parentheses username and also $ parentheses password. It's really great. This has better experience and better security. Also, you can hide your database or hide your server. It's not all about the hiding information. It's about changing these values among different states. Let's save it. Suppose that during your pipeline you have different stages. For example, I'm going to create a new stage. Let's clone it. I'm going to clone it. New stage. Oh my God. Okay, reload it. I'm going to clone this stage, for example, to the production stage. While I'm working on the dev stage, I need to connect to my dev database that's located in localhost, and I need to connect to localhost using some username and passwords. And while I'm working on production stage, I need to connect to my production database, which has its own authentication method. How can I change these values by changing the environments? The answer is to using the variables. Here that I'm going to use the passwords. If you see here, it says that passwords with this value is being used by the dev scope. So when I'm going to running my production scope or production stage, I need to provide the value for password again. For example, password for the production environment is something like this, and I'm choosing the production here. It gives you great flexibility in designing your pipelines. Okay, anyway, let's get back to our pipeline and see what's going on there. I'm going to remove this stage that I made here, okay? And let's take another look to the pipeline. It's fine, and easily I can click on the release button in order to create a release or in order to update my database. Okay, the release 4 has been created and the agents will start working on it shortly. Okay, the stage is in progress. If I click on in progress, I can see tables about the work being made. The job is being queued successfully. It starts to working on it. Okay. Agent starts to download the artifacts from build pipelines into the release agent or release server. After downloading the artifact, starts to executing my task, publish DAC to my database in DAC publish profile. It starts to publish my database chains. Okay, we need to wait until this process is being made and completed. Okay, my release pipeline completed successfully, and the database upgrade wizard completed successfully. And as you see, the second part of my question and second part of my problem has been resolved really easily. And now I have the whole process as an automatic process that I can refer to it. Okay, let's get back again and test it with the real scenario. Close this tabs and get back to my repository section. As you see, I have my codes located here. I'm not going to change these codes here. I'm going to change them using the Visual Studio. Okay, here is my build pipeline, and let's duplicate this tab to see what's going on simultaneously in my release pipelines too. As you see, there's no jobs are being executed currently. All the jobs are executed and completed successfully. Here in Visual Studio, in my own computer, I'm going to have some change. I'm going to change perhaps some change in my database. So, for example, I'm going to, let's see what's going on in the database. Refresh the tables part. Okay, I'm going to remove the log and account tables easily. I'm going to click on accounts and the log SQL scripts and delete them, and test if my database projects can be built successfully and it's being built successfully. Okay, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to close my Visual Studio and check the SQL Server database. Okay, two tables currently are inside my database. I'm going to push my change to the Azure DevOps, git add dots, and then git commit, for example, extra tables removed. Okay, and do some git pull to get a list version of my codes, and then git push. As soon as I push my change to server and to the branch, to the master branch, a new build being queued automatically without my intervention and starts building my chains and creating the DAC pack files. Again, without any intervention, I'm just sitting here and waiting for the wizard to be completed. Okay, it's failed. Let's see what's going on the table. My problem, my database table log SQL form file. This does not exist. Oh my God, I did some mistakes here. We did some upgrades manually over the database, and we ported some files here. Let's resolve it, no problem. I need to check my SQL approach file before doing anything with my project. Let's check it here, and okay, it does not exist here, and it's a problem with my DAC file. it's fine that I have a problem with the DAC file. I can sync Visual Studio with my database manually and then start using it automatically. This error is because of my deletion process that I made it. It's being reported here that TBL account and TBL log. Okay. And git add, it says that there's some files being locked down here. I can rebuild my project and see that if those two files, okay, they're not returned. Okay, git add dot, it's commit with some message, zero deletion, two file change, and git, let's see if that's okay, git pull and git push. Okay, let's get back to the pipeline and see what's going on again here. See, the pipeline is being executed. Let's see what's going on here. Inside the table folders, I do not have those two SQL files, and in my SQL Proj file, I should not have the log. Okay, the problems are being made by here. It's a surprise why this file, these lines did not removed. So I removed them from here in order to save our time. These two files should be deleted. It was a surprise. Commit and commit. Okay. Even these failures are great benefits that these automated process gives us. I had some change that contains some failure and some errors. So these failures did not transform to my destination environment, and it persisted until I resolved the errors in my environment. As you see, the build pipeline completed successfully, and after that the release pipeline automatically starts to publishing my change to my destination database. Again, without any manual intervention, I'm just sitting here and seeing what's going on inside my release pipeline. Okay, the release completed successfully too. And the final stage that I'm going to do is only to refresh my tables node of the SQL Server and to see what's going on. Oh my God, the files did not, the tables did not remove. I need to check the DAC pack content. Okay, let's check the DAC pack contents to see what's going on among these tables. It's located at agent work folder inside the 11 artifact staging directory and database being released. Here's my DAC pack file. Let's open it with Notepad and see. Oh my God, there is nothing here to read, but it's moving my module PK file. Yeah, my change scripts and deleting and removing my tables are not exist here. I told you that it's because of my manually deletion of that files. It was not really good options to removing that table. Let's again open the Visual Studio and overcome this issue. It's really something bad that's here. Let's pull the latest change from repository. Okay, and reload all. Okay, that's now fine. I'm going to add a new table. And the color table person. ID and the name, for example, and varchar and age. It's of type of integer. Okay, save the change check to see if my solution is being built. It built successfully. Close the Visual Studio and running the git add dot and git commit dash -ms and git push. It's being queued. It's misspelling here. Okay, and the release part, it starts automatically. About the previous operations, about deleting the tables, it was not the right optional operations that I did. I removed them manually. I need to prepare the drop statements for my tables before deleting them, and I need to prepare the deletion migrations before deleting my tables. And I wrongly deleted the files manually, and it really made some mistakes. Okay, the release environments getting affected, and I refresh the table parts. My person table is being created in my destination table. And as you see, automating the change between two different environments is really easy by creating CI/CD pipeline for SQL Server databases. The next part of the automating is about to automating the data manipulations and data query operations. You can easily solve this kind of problems by referring to some external tools such as MS SQL Scripter, such as SQL CMD, such as BCP utility that's being ported by Microsoft SQL Server, or you can easily write your own extension and install it in Azure DevOps to execute your data manipulations and data query operations. What was important for us up to this step was to know how we can design CI/CD procedures, CI/CD processes to automating the change delivery of SQL Server databases. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this session. And if there's any question, I'm here to answer your questions. Okay, Uzair?
Yes, thank you so much, Vahid. It was a very informative presentation on adopting DevOps with SQL Server. And I really think it's very valuable operation when it comes to using SQL Server databases, especially related to the updates that we are doing with the application. And I don't see any questions in the chat window. But I have one question related to the use of DevOps in SQL Server, and that is related to how we can use DevOps to manage the updates that we are doing to the database. Like, for example, there can be some applications that are not compatible with a specific version of cumulative SQL update. And let's say if we roll a specific cumulative update to a SQL Server database, and later on we want to roll it back, how the DevOps could help us in this case, because I think it would be related to creating a pipeline for continuous delivery in this case. Can you please highlight on this?
Yeah, it's very great questions there. It's all about the continuous integration pipelines that we need to design in order to manage the whole software delivery process that we are going to provide. Our software delivery process have different sectors: the database part, the application part, the infrastructure part, the configuration part, and all these parts are gathered together and shapes our software delivery process. by using the continuous integration pipelines, we have the ability to rolling forward or rolling back the change easily. Fortunately, about the database, and again, fortunately again, for SQL Server databases, nowadays in market, we have really powerful tools which helps us in rolling back the database change, such as the Redgate change automation or Redgate source control, or totally Redgate tool belt, or Apex tool belt. These two tools are really helpful in rolling back in the change provided during a failure or during a wrong software process. They really helps us in rolling back the change. But if you are not going to use that kind of tools, you can easily write your rolling back migrations besides your scripts. As I told at the beginning of my presentations, at the beginning part of the SSDT part, I told that the SSDT supports the pre-deployment and post-deployment scripts too, which helps you in rolling back in the change, applying the change, and doing some extra operations over your change. For example, inserting some data into a table. So as a short answer, what we can do in rolling back change, it's all about the continuous integration pipelines. We need to design some continuous integration pipeline. What we need to do in order to connect our application to database and make them compatible with each other. That's what is being answered, or that's what we need to answer during designing our software delivery process. And we can connect the different artifacts together in order to build one unit of an artifact and then publish that kind of artifact to our destination customers. So as you might got the points, it's all about the continuous integration pipeline, and they're really vital in our software delivery processes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Vahid. I don't see any questions in the chat window, but the recording of this presentation will shortly be posted on Microsoft Azure YouTube community channel. And is there anything that you would like to add, Vahid, here, or any input from your side?
I do not have any specific things to mention, but I have one quote that I'd like to share with all the participants and you. Before starting to transfer your organization to DevOps, and before injecting some new tools into your organizations and introducing some new problems to your organizations, please work on your culture. DevOps is mainly about culture, about our organizational culture. DevOps is a human problem. As Patrick Du Bois said, DevOps is a human problem. First, solve that human problem, then think about using some tools in order to facilitate your processes. I hope you, your dears, are safe and will be safe during these virus days, and I hope you laugh all the days. I do not have anything to add, Uzair, and thank you, and thanks to the Packs and Azure community for providing this opportunity to share something with you. Hope you see you very soon again.
Thank you very much, Vahid, and thank you very much for presenting on this very important topic of using Azure DevOps and CI/CD pipelines for SQL Server. Your presentation was very informative. Before moving to the end, I would like to ask you, would you share your presentation slide deck so that I could also share it with the members of the community?
Of course, I will share the presentations exclusively with you, and you have the permit to share it wherever you want. And of course, the participants can refer to my GitHub account located at github.com/Vahid Farahmandian and takes the presentation files from GitHub too. But surely I will share the presentation with you.
Now, can you also share your GitHub URL link in the chat window? so that I
Yeah.
could post it on the session page and share it with the team members, with the community members, so that they could refer to it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I shared it. Oh, it's text. Let's share it as a plain text. Okay, it's not fine.
So, yeah, that's your. I hope you'll be able to share, see my screen, or if not, I will share my window. That's your page.
Yeah, that's my GitHub account, and I will share the presentation and all the assets of this session here in my account, and you can refer to it.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. 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 Thank you so much, Vahid. It was really a pleasure to have you on board and listen to your presentation. I hope you will also give us your precious time in future. And thank you very much, and have a very nice morning, evening, or late evening, wherever you are located. Thank you very much and have a very nice day. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.